Emily's priorities.
I was gonna say, Leia seems pretty happy to see those cows, too.
Who wouldn't be happy to see those cows?
Weren't they giant mechanical bulls that, like, were constantly trying to charge us?
I don't know about mechanical, they were armoured. They were definitely armoured. You might be thinking of the goats, they were more augmented. Anyway, against my better judgment, I decided to equip some item buffers for this. This wasn't really a plan. Also, yeah, I've actually designated some favourite items, shockingly. This wasn't actually part of any plan by me to do a build. I just noticed that the appetite buff armour was just the best piece of armour that I had. Here's a guy. I don't know if this guy just has a whole bunch of lines or if they're actually procedurally generating dialogue for him, but... well, here he is.
You know, I'm glad we got to experience that. Surely we can agree that our CrossCode experience has been enhanced by this man yelling procedurally generated insults at us.
Well, something's been added to something. I can't really argue with that. Autumn's Fall is off to the east, and there's an entire extra little area of Rookie Harbour that doesn't really do anything except happen to contain the exit to Autumn's Fall. And a couple traders and at least one weird hidden chest route. Well, I say hidden, but... you know what I mean. Here's the traders. You know how this works, we can't get any of this stuff yet. I absolutely want that ramming shell though. We are bringing the pin body build back. Anyway, let's go murder even more things. As has been hyped up, Autumn's Fall is aesthetically pretty similar to Autumn's Rise, it's just... well, there's ruins everywhere now, and the music is somehow even more chill. Hedgehogs are back. Now they're radical with black and red quills. It's good that they're at least a little bit original. I mean, we were starting to think this was going to get derivative. If for no other reason than I guess I need to show this off at some point, I ate a bunch of food. You'll note that I ate two different things that gave an attack up buff, and consequently the attack and focus buff has overridden the pure attack buff, and therefore I'm not actually using all three of the buff slots. I'm sorry, I'm playing suboptimally.
I cannot believe you would do this.
On the other hand, we can immediately go and demolish all the enemies here because, you know, our stats have all gone through the roof. In particular, having an SP generation buff is a lot of fun for reasons that I don't think I have to explain. Our other primary offense, as I believe I kind of glossed over, is a buff that increases both attack and focus. And focus, you might recall, gives us both more crits and even more SP. Now, have I shown that one off yet? Final Showdown is our level 2 neutral special type dash art. It does a big anime combo on an enemy. I don't like it that much, really. No, I feel like it's a little bit too finicky to actually pull off and doesn't do enough. I usually go for the mobility and special effects stuff because, like, you know, normally if I want to do a lot of damage to something, I'll just, like, hit it a bunch. You know?
It's a bold strategy.
Or use Frozen Star. I've always got time for Frozen Star.
Well, naturally, you know, you can't not do the big number.
The deal with this is, mostly, the do a big amount of damage to a small area stuff is basically only good for bosses. Because those are the things that tend to survive your hits ever. In 99% of other cases, you usually want to go for the big area, the big mobility, the big utility. Stuff like being able to hit everybody with even just the level 1 fire throw art. It just sets everybody on fire. So if you're in a jam, you can of course just eat a sandwich and recover a bunch of health, but something that I think is actually even better is eating one of the health regen buffs. Doesn't heal you immediately, but it makes your regen kind of silly. Like, look at this, we're getting 39 hit points back every, like, second and a half. It's pretty nuts. Don't worry, Emily. You'll get over it.
I don't think now is the time to worry about hurting the cows.
Yeah, maybe you could have brought that up before we got into an S-rank killing spree. Anyway, here's a jumping puzzle to remember for later. They've got block pushing in them now. Look forward to that. Anyway, in our bloodlust earlier, we kind of neglected to actually pick up some stuff on this first screen, so let's go and deal with that. And seriously, I don't know why that plant wasn't getting hit.
Well, you see, it was off-screen by exactly 1 pixel, and therefore your shots simply cease to exist.
Yeah, but we've hit stuff off-screen before. Here's a jump I always fuck up, like I always try to go down that left side first, every single time. This game and its depth perception bullshit. Every single time. Now, Autumn's Fall really, really likes ricochet puzzles. In particular, it really likes making you fire through windows. Like, it really likes making you fire through windows. I think this is another one of those times where the developers had an idea, and they were like, okay, let's dial back everything that we were doing in the last overworld and let's just make this our new thing that we obsess over. And honestly, I'm fine with it.
I suppose the one thing that can be said is that even though I'm sure that we will see plenty of instances of them doing some sort of absurd horse shit with these. The fact that you have to fire through windows means that you are inherently already limited to a very small space. So you don't have to worry about the angle of, am I even supposed to be shooting from here? Because, you know, you're in front of the window. There's nowhere else to shoot from. It's just a matter of figuring out what the angle you're supposed to be coming at it from is.
It's a nice way of combining puzzles and signposts together, organically. You might even call it synergistic if you really want to get pretentious. I just think it's good game design. Now that's not to say that we're not going to have a lot of enormous interconnected circuitous jumping paths around here. I mean, we haven't stopped being CrossCode. I'm just saying, they found a new thing to lean into, and I like this new thing that they're leaning into. Something else that helps, which I guess it's not really apparent yet, is that Autumn's Fall is actually tiny compared to some of the other areas. Like, I think there's like 6 outdoor screens total. You might note that despite that screen count, we're still going to spend a couple of videos exploring through everything, and there are good reasons for that. I'm just saying, this whole area just feels more manageable, less intimidating than Maroon Valley does.
I mean, after the design of Fadra Temple, it feels like I kind of get the feeling that the design ethos for the rest of the game is going to lean more towards cramming more stuff, whether that be puzzles or platforming challenges or whatever, into a smaller space.
There is a definite tendency in the evolving design ethos of this game as we go through the episodes, and you can see it. You can see it evolving before your eyes. I actually heard directly from one of the developers who somehow name searched their way into my Twitter mentions one time. It said, like, and I just said something like, "Wow, it's like you can literally see your design priorities changing over time as you go through the game." And they were like, "Yeah, that's completely true." Video games, man. Now, don't tell anyone, but we're actually getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. I've done that thing again where I'm like, okay, well, this thing is obviously the plot, and we want to do all the other stuff before we do the plot. So we're going to go this other way first, and clear out all the stuff. Of course, little do I know that we're actually going to have to get sent back through this way anyway.
I was gonna say, little did you know, the plot was going to send you here anyway.
Well, quite.
You've played yourself.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, that said, we're still putting this whole thing in a solved state, and it's gonna stay in a solved state. So, there is that. Also, I really hope you like running on walls.
Yeah, that's not nothing. It is good to at least have those puzzles squared away before it makes you come back.
Emily, Trolley, you guys good down there? Ah, they're fine.
They'll figure it out.
We'll leave them to that and learn about some more lore. Yeah, was not kidding about the 3,000 whatever thing. Although, you know, to be fair, it could be 4,000, could be 5,000. All we know is that there was apparently a war once, which, well, that sounds like us.
I was gonna say, I don't know if there was a war once really qualifies as the deep lore that we're here for.
Anyway, what if we had to bounce a shot through 2 windows?
2 windows? Now you're just going mad with power. Now
it takes a couple tries to get some of these. but I still really like them. Like, they are absolutely pushing the limits here. They're saying, look, we can have players stand anywhere and we can have them get these stupid pixel-perfect shots. How much of this do you think we can get away with? Let's find out together. Anyway, that's pretty much Autumn's Fall. I mean, obviously there's a lot more of this, but the ethos of this is pretty much going to be we climb stuff, we jump on stuff, we run along the top of walls, and we find our way into places and press buttons and open up shortcuts. It's one of those ways in which, like, we're all just running around 2D top-down areas doing the same stuff. But they really have managed to make all of these locations feel characteristic. And I can respect that a lot. I do not respect this one though. This one is just... too many corners. Entirely too many corners. Anyway, the good news is that at the very back of that last screen that we explored to, there was a barrier, which I'm pretty sure is only there because so many players kept exploring into it in an attempt to avoid the plot. So they just put this door there. Like I said, this whole thing is just game design as hell.
Yeah, Emily's just speaking truth there.
Yeah, there's a vibe here.
We know where this is going.
See, this whole time we've been to exactly 4 screens. They did a real good job of packing stuff in here. Anyway, this was the one area that I actually remembered was definitely a part of this quest, so I left this bit still for us to do now. But, well, we'll see. We'll see how far ahead of ourselves we manage to get before. Incidentally, note that launch pad off to the north.
So I see we're finally able to go to the second half of the game now that we've gotten the ring. That's good, you know, because otherwise we were going to have to grind out a lot of souls.
I know, right? It didn't actually occur to me to check if that one was a reference. I probably should check if it's a reference. It probably is a reference. We know what we're dealing with after all. Now, the ordering of these videos is going to work a little differently than it has before. Normally, I've managed to keep things in a pretty regimented format where we spend a couple videos exploring the entire overworld, and then we go to the next plot destination, and then we do a bunch of side quests. But the plot is integrated into this area in a way that makes that not really work out too well. Which is why I will conspicuously not be taking that jump pad off to the north here for another couple videos. Instead, we're going to follow the rabbit, and I'm going to realise exactly how many plot puzzles I've accidentally solved in advance. Am I going to spend another 5 seconds being about to solve this a second time anyway? Yes, I am. but I remembered in the end. I appreciate the quest notifications getting steadily more.
I was gonna say, is Emily writing our quest notifications?
It tracks. I could believe it.